Good morning, all. Welcome to another interesting session of KKEM. We'll start with the welcome speech of Kristen.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you to each and every one of you for joining us today. Myself, Crispin, Project Intern at ICT Academy of Kerala. We are very pleased to be able to welcome those of you that have been with us for a long time now, as well as those who are new to the ICT family. We are excited to bring you this session, Trends and Opportunities in Robotic Process Automation. This is a session on the blooming opportunities that lies within the robotic process automation. Without any further delays, let me introduce our speaker, Mr. Amal Babu, a Senior Solution Architect, Intelligent Automation. Mr. Amal Babu is an industry expert in the field of robotic process automation, having more than 8 years of experience in the industry. Currently, he is serving as the Assistant Manager of 10x DS Exponential Digital Solutions. Next, we have Mr. Gopu Doshan, Senior Knowledge Officer, ICT Academy of Kerala. Mr. Gopu Doshan has a decade of experience in the academics. Along with Mr. Gopu, we have Mr. Srikumar KV, Head of Retail Operations, ICT Academy of Kerala. Mr. Srikumar has 2 decades of experience in the academics and the ITES industry. On behalf of KKEM and ICT Academy, I welcome all the panelists and audience to this webinar. Now I request Mr. Amal Babu to start this session.
Thank you. So I hope I am audible to everyone. I will try start sharing my screen. Yes. Let me know if you are able to see my screen. Okay.
Yes, Amal, we can see it.
Okay. So the agenda and the topic of today's discussion is trends and opportunities in robotic process automation. So the aim of this presentation or walkthrough is to make you equipped with an understanding of what robotic process automation is, to mine through various trends that exist in nowadays robotic process automation implementations, and to have a look at the various opportunities that is available to somebody who is looking to build a career in robotic process automation. So without further ado, let's jump into the presentation. So first, before we start to jump into the trends and then opportunities, let's try to bring ourselves into a common picture where we all understand what robotic process automation is. Maybe some of you might already know what robotic process automation is, but this is for people in the audience who are new to the concept. So robotic process automation is a software technology that makes it easy to build, deploy, and manage software bots. And these software bots, what they do is, I think somebody had raised his hand. Any questions? Okay. So what this robot or the software program does is, it basically simulates an operation or any action that a human does in his system. So it's not very different from what you have seen so far, but different in the sense that this software is actually mimicking human activities. It's not actually performing anything different. So it's not a rocket science. So whatever a human does in his laptop or system as part of his day-to-day activities, this robot will be able to mimic that. So the second paragraph, what it says is the same. That is, just like people, the software bots can do things like understand what is on screen, perform keystrokes, navigate through various pages in a web system, identify and extract data, and perform a wide range of defined actions. So this is what the definition of robotic process automation is. To understand a technology, any technology, let's say a face recognition technology. So when you're thinking about a face recognition technology and imagining about what that is, or when you're talking to someone about face recognition technology, things that comes to your mind is like a mobile phone which has a face recognition will allow you to authenticate into it. And some of the sci-fi movie pictures in which you would see face recognition used to search for culprits in an FBI database, etc. So looking into face recognition technology as in isolation, what it is like, it is like superimposing certain reference points onto the face, the image of a face, and then calculating the distance between them and using that distance as a common reference. And various studies shows that these distant matrices that is being captured by the analysis that the bot does on that image is unique compared to everyone else, because it's something like a fingerprint. So that is the technology. And while we are imagining, we are not thinking about all these reference points or all these metrics of distance calculated, but rather we are thinking about its applications. So similar to this, robotic process automation, simply identifying what its definition is not going to help you much. So what you need to understand is, or to say replicate or to explain to somebody what robotic process automation is, we need something more than simply like saying that it's a software that mimics human operations. So we need to imagine a scenario where the robotic process automation is actually used. That will help us to imagine what this process is, and when we are explaining this concept to someone else, we will be able to explain that with utmost confidence. So the next slide, we are going to see a typical use case of a real world scenario. I don't know whether my screen is completely visible to everyone, because I am seeing some part of the Zoom meeting controls superimposed. You are all able to see the screen in its entirety, right?
No issues. Amal,
Oh.
you can continue.
Okay. So this is a real world scenario which we implemented recently in one of our clients' system, and it's regarding SAP reporting process. So we will try to understand what that process is. So in this process, a business team that is part of the automation journey, that team used to conduct several meetings. So every time there will be certain meetings happening in that organization. As part of that meetings, various team are supposed to come into that meeting room, and they are supposed to do some presentation. So before the team should come into the meeting room, the person who is conducting this meeting has to create certain summaries, certain Excel files, certain dashboards, reports, etc., so that they can use that effectively in the meeting, so as to communicate the concept of where we need to improve, or is there anything that is we are doing wrong that is impacting our business. So as part of this meeting, the team is supposed to download 3 reports pertaining to each project onto a predefined location. And these reports are Excel reports which are extracted from SAP. So you can simply think of that as synonymous to downloading an Excel file from an email. So these guys has to download 3 reports, and these 3 reports, they have to consolidate that into a combined report. So these 3 files will be separate files. They have to copy each sheet in this Excel files and place it inside a consolidated file. And these files will serve the purpose of demonstrating to the team members who is taking part in this meeting about how a project is performing well. So that is a very simple operation. So when you're thinking about robotic process automation, it's not a rocket science kind of a technology. I'm simply showcasing one of the real world scenario where RPA is used. So this scenario is very simple. That is, the user has to go into SAP, download some reports, combine these reports in a project-wise manner, and create a summary file. And this file, they need to use that in their team monthly meeting, or this meeting might happen on a weekly basis or on an ad hoc basis also. Ad hoc basis, that means without further notice, it might happen suddenly in a day. So looking at this process in deep, this is the analysis that you're seeing at the left-hand side of the screen, a tabular structure. Looking at the volume, total number of projects that we were supposed to automate, or this business team was using, was close to 200. So now I'm jumping into the problem. Okay, so this is a simple process, and thinking about this is not a rocket science kind of a thing. You might seem like, what is so special about this problem? So we will see what is so special about this problem and why this is a problem in its first place. So total number of projects that say the user is supposed to download is 200, and 200 is the exact number they were talking. The clients were talking about something close to 200, and there could be 196 or 190. Some of the projects might go into a dormant state, but on a rough scale, it's 200 projects. And for each project, they have to download 3 reports. So that gives us total 600 reports that the employee should download and process. So let's see what the employee process has to happen. So the employee has to go into a folder and simply do a verification to see whether there is all these 3 files pertaining to one project. So maybe we can think that as a 20-second exercise by him. He is going into a network folder, opening it, locating the first report, then searching for the second report, and then searching for the third report for the same project. So there will be 600 files in that folder. So what we can best assume is that that user is going to do that in 20 seconds. Then he has to consolidate these reports, copy paste each sheet from this 3 different Excel and place it into a consolidated Excel. And we can think of that as a 30 seconds, very low time consuming operation. And then there is a copying file operation where he has to copy the consolidated file into an output folder. So looking at this, it's a 54-second job. So we will think like, what is so much important about this? He's doing a simple activity. And this activity he has to repeat for like 200 times, and that would come up to 3 hours in his day-to-day routine. So 3 hours now is a big time. Previously, it was 54 seconds for one project, but he has to do that 200 times. So volume is what it's causing this problem to be under the radar of RPA. So next part of it, he can simply go and start his consolidation. He has to first download the files. So that means he has to go into an SAP system. So people who are not aware of what SAP is, it's simply like a website or an ERP tool that helps the organization to maintain and plan their resources. So it's like a central website for an organization. So that SAP website, he has to navigate into certain locations where he could download the report, and it might take 60 seconds. So it's a very good assumption that he would take 1 minute in downloading one report. But the problem is he has to do that 600 times. That makes it a humongous task, and he might spend up 600 minutes, close to 10 hours, simply downloading the files alone. And in a grand total, the time that an employee has to say commit for this job is 13 hours. So now looking at what this is actually coming into picture. So in a resource planning kind of an environment, this 13 hours can only be implemented by using 2 resources. So this is a typical way by which a manager sees how a resource performs. So starting from 9 to 10, which is the first hour of the day, the user comes in, he starts doing this activity. The second hour, which is 10 to 11, third, 4, and 5th hour is grayed out because it could be the lunch interval, and then the evening half. So total 8 hours is available for one resource. So it is not possible for one resource to complete everything in a day because the meeting could happen in an ad hoc fashion. So that means 2 of the resources has to work, and they have to invest 16 hours to do this 13-hour job. And all this is by assuming that by the time he is doing this 54 seconds in consolidating the report, he is not going to get distracted. And so thinking of he like consolidating 200 projects one after the other, 54 second adjacent to each other, is like a very ambitious kind of an hope. So clearly this 13 hours in reality could be summed up into a 16 man hours, because distractions, there could be chit chats, they could be engaged in other activities also. So when we are looking at this problem, 2 graduate resource. So when you are going to be placed inside an organization, you can't simply expect a mundane guy actually performing this role. These could be performed by 2 BTech graduates, and they might be having a salary close to maybe 9 LPA or 12, 13 LPAs. And what they are doing in these in a particular day of this consolidation activities is really a dumb kind of a job, actually not utilizing their skills. They are BTech graduates, they could do programming, they could do machine learning, but they are not doing all these activities. They are simply downloading Excels and consolidating that. So comparing this with a bot, if you're actually making a software solution that could do this, this is how the bot's timetable looks like. That is, a bot has 24 hours of availability. It doesn't take any interval. It could work one after the other continuously, and maybe towards the end, there could be some time where which the bot is going to do some maintenance activity. So apart from that, this entire two resource activity can be performed by a single bot. And the time and the amount and the money that we spend on two resources doing this mundane activity can simply be automated by a single bot, and the bot may not take 13 hours. It could do all these activities in lightning fast speed, and it might even complete the entire thing within the first 4 hours of the start of the process. So that is what we did. So in an automated process, what happens is that, so this is what you have to imagine. So when we are running a robot or putting RPA into the solution, what will happen is in SAP, an automated script will download all these reports into a predefined location. So that will happen. It may not happen during the business hours. It can happen overnight. And all this file comes into a folder automatically. So there is nobody sitting there and downloading. It happens automatically, because whatever somebody does in downloading this report, the robot can mimic that activities. Assume they are opening a browser, robot can open a browser. They are keying in their username and password, robot can do that. Navigating to a particular location where files or reports reside, bot will also do that, and simply downloading the report. So there is no rocket science involved. Simply launch it, type username, password. So every activities are rule based and mundane. So bot can actually do that. And after that, download happens, the automated solution consolidates in each information into a single project-wise Excel. So this consolidation is an Excel activity, and bot can do that in lightning fast, because bot will not open the Excel application. It can do everything in background. So at least somebody who is in this audience list who had done some automation or programming will easily understand that it's a few lines of code that can be written to actually do all this consolidation. So end of the day, this is what robotic process automation implementation would look like in a real world scenario. And why RPA is because, say, this is same as something that we could do with any software vendors. So if Infosys or TCS is coming to picture, they will think of implementing this in Java, C, Python, .NET, etc., etc. But what happens is that when this goes into a software development life cycle, because any problem out there can be accomplished using a programming. But here, if we do this in a software development life cycle, what happens is that this goes into a very big project, and things would get piled up, the cost will come up, and the solution will only get implemented like maybe months or years down the line. But with robotic process automation, we can put this into production in like 2 to 3 weeks. So that's what RPA stands out from a typical software implementation also. So this is what RPA is. Any questions, guys, before I go to, maybe I will stop for questions towards the end, since we have only limited time and there is many more other topics to cover. I will quickly jump into the next section, but I think this scenario explanation would give you a picture of what RPA is. So it's simply trying to mimic what a user does in his day-to-day activities, but much more faster, much more efficient, and much more cheap. So robot is something that does not have any sentiments. It doesn't take any tea break. It does keep on doing things mechanically. So that's why it's called as a robot. And with that, it does everything very precisely, very efficiently, and the time, effort, and money that we are spending to do this activity is considerably less. These two resources combined together could maybe end up costing the company like close to 20 or 25 lakhs per annum. But this bot, a single bot, very efficient. It's not that much costly when comparing to two graduate resources working for the organization to do this mundane job. So next, we are jumping into the meat of the presentation, which is the trends in RPA. So to understand the trends in RPA, it was relevant to understand what RPA is and what automation is. So now you can imagine about an RPA or an automation implementation with respect to the real world scenario that I explained. And with in light to that scenario, we will talk about what integration is, what collaboration is, and what intelligence is. And these are the trends that we are seeing nowadays in RPA. This is not actual calling out of the trends in exactly. This is like a categorization of the various trends that we are seeing. We could imagine this as all the trends that is available in RPA can either be classified into integration level kind of a trend, collaboration kind of a trend, or building intelligence kind of a trend. So we will see and talk about integration, collaboration, and intelligence subsequently in the following slides, and we will use that using certain examples, real world examples, which will help you imagine about each and every concepts and trends and replicate that to somebody who is going to ask you about maybe trends in RPA. So integration. So looking at integration and the image that you are seeing, it's like building a puzzle or building a picture out of small puzzles. So in this process, let's first read out the definition. As I said, any technology, any concept has two aspects. One is the definition and the other is application. Unless you master these two items, you won't be able to replicate the idea to someone else. So integration, let's see what the definition is. So there is no one technology that could solve all the problems. Even taking an example as an automobile, a car, or a mobile phone. It is not part of a single technology. It's a club of many technologies. Even taking a wheel of a car as an example, that wheel itself has multiple patterns around it. How it rotates, how the suspension works, how the wishbone works. So no single technology can solve all problems. So that is something that we can all agree on. So integration of multiple technologies, on the other hand, seems to be like a better way forward. So RPA in its isolation cannot solve all the problems. So whenever it comes to a problem where RPA is not a good solution, the trend is like to integrate RPA with various cutting edge technologies out there. So that's what the definition of integration looks like. So we will take an example and try to see what integration is. So in the current example that we are seeing, or the real world example, there would always be a manager who is like managing these two resources, R1 and R2. And this manager will always be, say, cautious and always be tensed, like the meeting is going to be scheduled tomorrow and still the reports are in progress. So what he does is, if I was the employee, what the manager will be very tensed. പുള്ളി അടുത്ത് വന്നിട്ട് ചോദിക്കും, അതായത് അമലെ കഴിഞ്ഞോ പരിപാടി, കഴിഞ്ഞോ എന്ന് ചോദിക്കും. അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ എന്ത് പറയും, സാറേ ഇപ്പൊ തീരും, ഇപ്പൊ റെഡിയാക്കി തരാം, അങ്ങനെ പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കും. So that is the problem. The manager is always tensed. And imagine this scenario when a robot is doing that. So manager doesn't actually can't go and talk to robot to see where we are, what is his status. So he has to sit tight in his seat and wait for the robot to complete its operation, and only towards the end of that 3 to 4 hours of bot's execution he will get to know of the results. So that imposes a serious problem. So the problem is the manager who is supposed to manage the other two resources, who was working a full day back to back to complete this report, he was comfortable with them because he could go to those resources, simply go to their seating position and ask them directly what's happening, and they would give him an update. But with RPA robot, something that is happening inside a system, and it might run in a data center. So unless us റോബോട്ടിന്റെ മോണിറ്ററും റോബോട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നത് എന്താണെന്ന് പുള്ളിക്ക് കാണാൻ പറ്റാത്തടത്തോളം കാലം മാനേജർ പണിയാണ്. Because his supervising manager will always ask him what's happening. And this particular line manager is supposed to handle the heat from his supervisor. So he can't do that unless there is a reporting in place. So when we are looking about that kind of problem, what we will do is that we would integrate RPA with other technologies. For example, how the situation of that manager would be if he is getting like mobile notification every 1 hour saying that we have downloaded 20 reports, again like 190 reports or 180 reports are again pending, and estimated completion time by is like by 10 a.m. So when he is getting this continuous notification in his mobile, maybe it could be a WhatsApp, it could be a Teams, or it could be an email notification. So he will be well comfortable to explain to his managers saying that everything will be done by 10 a.m. Everything will be finished by 12 p.m. And you will get your reports early. So that kind of confidence is built. So integration of RPA with other technologies like WhatsApp, Teams, emails, and even chatbots, etc., can be seen as a new trend that is happening in RPA. So right now, if a bot happens, the manager is very much comfortable because he is getting a kind of visibility, very deep visibility in what the bot is doing. Previously, എന്ത് ചെയ്യണമായിരുന്നു? പുള്ളി പോയിട്ട് ഈ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്ന എംപ്ലോയീസിന്റെ പുറകിൽ സ്ക്രീൻ നോക്കി നിൽക്കണം. അവന്മാർ പറയുന്നത് ശരിയാണോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മൊബൈലിൽ സംസാരിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണോ? But this time it's very different. He is getting line by line, like timely updates of what is happening. And also on a brighter side, he is also getting an estimated completion time. With other users, with the other scenario where resources are working on it, if he is going and asking, ഇന്ന് തീരുവോ, നീ എന്നെ ചീത്ത കേൾപ്പിക്കോ എന്ന് ചോദിക്കാൻ നേരത്തെ അവര് ഇല്ല സർ നമുക്ക് തീർക്കാം എന്നേ പറയുള്ളൂ. But the response is not structured. They won't say by 10 a.m. I will be able to complete everything because they are humans and it's not possible. So that's what integration is. I hope you are able to imagine what integration means. There is a scenario what RPA cannot solve. RPA is simply mimicking what human does. So that technology, when integrated with other cutting edge technology out there, API calls, WhatsApp notification, etc., chatbots, etc., it becomes a technology that could solve almost all problems, or the range of problems that it can solve increases dramatically. So next is collaboration. So collaboration is a simple word, and whenever a synonymous word could be teamwork. So there is nobody in this world who knows everything, and eventually one day or the other they might end up asking help, seeking help from others in completing their task. And this seeking of help would reduce over time when they get enough experience. So let's look into the definition of collaboration when it comes to RPA. So first we had integration. So integration is like putting together various technologies along with RPA so as to solve a particular problem. The problem that we saw was like line manager not getting frequent updates that could solve using updates going into Teams and WhatsApp. And collaboration here, let's look at the definition and then cook up a scenario that would help us to understand what this pertains to an RPA domain. Okay. So first we have human in the loops. So human in the loop is a middle ground between full automation and full manual processing. So you can read through that description. I'm going to quickly jump to the maybe explanation of what this is, and that would help you understand what is being described there. So think of a scenario. So I will take an example that we actually did for one of the visa processors in Middle East. And what that happened is that in that Middle East kind of a world, people out there, the common citizens may not be that equipped with handling government papers, file works. So if they want to apply for visa, what they do is that they usually apply that through a third-party provider, a visa provider. So I was doing automation for that third-party visa provider. So the problem was that they are employing like close to 18 to 20 human resources, mostly Malayalis, and their managers are like Arab nationals. And these people, Malayalis, what they are doing there is like simply logging into their portal. They will have a web portal where they are supposed to download all the visa applications. And this comes through their web portal, or there could be certain offices in throughout the Middle East where the natives could visit and some representative could help them fill this form. So what happens is that this form comes into this central processing office where we are actually pitching RPA. And they are saying they are supposed to download all this, and then they are supposed to upload this into the that particular Middle East ministry website. And after uploading that into ministry website, there are n number of steps that they have to do. They have to answer to certain queries. So rather than these queries directly going to the citizens who are not that well educated, these people, this visa providers will be able to answer all questions and simply present these citizens with the visa once it is provisioned. So that's the middleman team that is doing this, and they are taking certain fees from the citizens also. So this process becomes very tedious when they are approaching towards a vacation season or a festival season. So this Middle East people usually would like to travel outside. So when these vacation time comes in, it's very difficult for this particular visa providers to actually cope up with the volume. And what they end up doing is that they would have night shifts, day shift, etc., and they have to pay the Malayalis accordingly, and the pay is very high. So in this problem, we was not able to automate it. So looking at it, it's a really mundane problem. But what made it an automation nightmare was because after downloading all the information, they are supposed to download the attached documents as well. So there are 3 documents. One is passport, one is his Emirates ID, and the other would be Emirates ID is something similar to Aadhaar, and the other is his photo. So after downloading these through documents, they are opening these documents to see whether these documents are clear enough and will that be rejected by the ministry or not. So after that only they are uploading that into ministry. So looking at this upload operation, it's rule based. Bot can do that in lightning fast. Bot can update all his personal information from that third-party website into ministry website lightning fast. No doubt there. But the problem is looking at the attachments, looking at these 3 attachments, bot can't even predict whether a document is a visa, Emirates ID, passport, or photo. So that is not part of RPA, because RPA, the bot does not have a brain of its own. It can't think. It can't actually open a document and try to predict whether that is a photo or not. So think of doing that by yourself. If you want to write a program where if you open a passport copy, the program would say this is a passport. And once you open a photo, a program would say this is a photo. So at least we can think of creating a solution that could actually predict that is a photo. But the problem is the cost of building that solution, that image recognition solution, is very high. And the cutting edge image recognition software that we have in say under our grasp right now is from Google, and that by itself is also only 90-95% accurate. So there is always a certain degree of error. We can't send a document to, we can't even give that 5% caveat of error. So if you are sending a document to ministry and saying that this is his passport, and when the ministry personnel opens it and looking at it, rather than passport, we are seeing his photo, then they will immediately reject it. So if rejection happens, that is a shame on the third-party provider. So they can't give a caveat for this 5% error. So there comes the solution with collaboration. So usually back in that days, we were not able to automate it, and we try to only automate certain bit of it. But nowadays, with the recent collaboration technology and trends that is happening, what a robot would do is that it will open the website of that third-party website. It will read all the details of that particular applicant from the web interface. Role-based, we can do that. That is as part of RPA. And then it will download all the attachment, which is also part of RPA. No brain required there. And after downloading it, what a robot does is it will send these documents to an employee. It will seek help of an employee. An employee in a collaborative environment is helping the bot. The employee would say that this particular document named as document 1 is his passport, document 2 is his Emirates ID, document 3 is his photo. So with that collaborative help from the user, bot will be able to correctly upload that into the Emirates website. So rather than a user actually taking all this value, typing that into Emirates website, here the robot is doing all those heavy lifting. The user simply needs to look in his mobile and simply select and categorize these 3 documents as passport, photo, or Emirates ID. And if any of these entries does not satisfy the required clarity or the nuances of the Emirates website, the individual has an option to reject also. So what happens is that is what the term means, human in the loop. So when RPA is running, it is seeking help from human. Human is actually providing making use of his intelligence and guiding the RPA to make right decisions. So in that collaborative environment, previously seen problems which are unautomatable now become automatable. So that is one of the trends that is happening right now in RPA. I'll quickly move on to the other. So usually when I'm doing webinars, I never give concern about how long I'm taking, but this time I know that I'm taking much longer than expected. But for the next slides, I will jump and quickly go through that so that we will get enough time for questionnaires. Next is intelligent RPA. So as mentioned, so this is like putting a brain into robot. So when you're thinking about the scenario, that previous scenario where the human was supposed to actually categorize this document, this intelligent kind of an RPA is like a compromise between the cutting machine learning technologies or natural language processing technologies that we have there. So these technologies are quickly evolving and we are actually coming closer and closer to the concept of AI. So intelligent automations or intelligent kind of intelligent automation trend in RPA, what it does is that, so the previous visa processing scenario, we would implement a cutting edge software technology, which is going to predict whether a document is a photo or not. But this technology nowadays can give us a confidence score also. Previously, back in 2016-17, when we actually approached that client, these technologies were not that prominent. And RPA doesn't had such kind of connectors to these technologies. But right now, if I could travel back in time, I would say to this client that it is now automated. So that's what the trend is happening right now. Every RPA tool is providing all such kinds of connectors to these cutting edge technologies. Software, NLP, natural language processing, OCR, AI machine learning capabilities, everything is there. So the bot could have actually predicted. So after downloading all the details of that visa application, right now bot will be able to open the document and will be able to predict that this particular document is a passport, but I am only confident 90%. Then what we can do is that we can only channel those less confident document to the user. So all the other document, if bot is able to predict one document as photo with 100% efficiency, bot can do that without the help of a human. So that means our robotic process automation process that actually applies for visa in Emirates website is now completely unattended. And that is what is happening right now. So true end-to-end automation is what is being achieved through intelligent RPA. So that is one of the trends right now. And say if you are going to start your career in RPA, you might not actually jump into all these. You will simply start with the conventional RPA. Now towards the last topic, the opportunities. So we are closing towards the end of this presentation and webinar, and this is one of the meat area of our webinar. Now you need to understand, now you know what the technology is and what the trends in the technology are. Now what you need is to understand where you can place yourself in the opportunity spectrum out there. So these are some of the roles that we have: a business analyst, project manager, developer, lead developer. I am hearing some noise out there. Is someone trying to ask a question? I think not. Okay. So we have RPA lead developer, solution architect. So that is my role. Then comes the RPA support engineer. So this is how the roles are, and a quick brief of what these roles means is like a business analyst. So if you are going into those visa processing client, it is the business analyst who is going to talk to the clients first, and he will try to understand what their problem is, what they are trying to automate. So this person is the one who is actually spending predominant time in client interaction. So that is a business analyst. So when he's talking to a client, he can't use his business analyst skill that he has gained in any other technology. He needs to know what is the capability of RPA and what is not. So that's what business analyst does. And the project manager, so it's an RPA project manager. That means it's not an RPA specific kind of a role. Anybody who had prior experience with project management in any other tool can also do this, but he needs some kind of information, at surface level information about what RPA is. So that's what project manager does. So these people are the people that I'm talking about, has a pay scale above 15 lakh per annum, etc. Business analyst and project managers. Then we have the lower category, which is an RPA developer, who is the one who is going to take the heavy lifting. He is the one actually doing this coding. So that is RPA developer. So his package and experience could be like 1 to 2 years, maybe coming around 9 to 12 lakhs per annum based upon his experience. Maybe 9 lakhs per annum. That is something that we can say as the upper limit for a RPA developer. And RPA lead developer is somebody who this RPA developer goes to for seeking answers to some of these solutions that he cannot do. So if there is a particular button that he's not able to click using RPA robot, because robot is something that mimics user operation, and if there is a requirement of clicking a button in the screen, then he's not able to do it. It is the RPA lead that he goes to. So RPA lead is someone who has 3+ year experience doing automation, and he is actually leading a couple of developers in trying to complete the project. And then comes the solution architect role. Now solution architect should be the guru of RPA. So what he has to do is he has to be someone who had done development, done certain lead developer role, and then after a couple of years, after seeing everything out there under RPA, then is only what he is going to become a solution architect. And then after that, so solution architect is the person who is actually planning, building, and trying to see whether how many technologies we have to integrate, how many queues we have to use, how much time should be the estimated running time of the bot. And it is based on his plan, the RPA lead developer implement that plan and break that into particular modules that automate it based upon the lead developer's instruction. And towards the end, once the bot goes into production, we have an RPA support engineer. And this engineer is someone who has a minimal knowledge of development and who is actually doing those management kind of activities. That is as a support would do. But it is not similar to a call center kind of a support. So it involves certain technical aspects also. So if tomorrow a bot is not working, a bot is not able to click a button, then the support engineer has to go into the solution, try to see what changed, and he will inform the developers that this has changed. And if developer does not have enough time to do that change, they themselves make that change and make sure that the bot is running in production tomorrow. These are the roles that we are looking into as part of our RPA. Now, looking this in a different angle, say how we can enter into or start our career inside RPA. So there could be listeners, audience in our team who is listening to this webinar, who might have MBAs, who might be pursuing MBA, or who might have already done some project analysis, etc. So those kind of people, or maybe some of the BTech graduates or other technology graduates who likes to have communications with clients, who is skilled at making those communication, interpreting their requirements into a document. If that's their interest, they can try themselves to get into an RPA business analyst role. But the problem is that kind of a role always demands high experience levels, because no company want a beginner to actually talk into a client and client getting an impression that, oh, he's a beginner. Look at his language. He's not even able to interpret what I'm saying. His documentation is really crap. So what does is that organization will never let a fresher to join an business analyst unless he does something exceptionally well. Project manager right now, that is not an entry point. So that is something that happens when a business analyst ages in an organization. He then becomes a project manager. So the entry point for somebody who is going to start his career would be the RPA developer and RPA support engineer. So a level that I have not shown here is that, like say, organization nowadays is going to colleges and trying to say recruit freshers, and those freshers, they will pass them through an internship program where they will train them on this RPA tool, and then depending upon their say performance, they will either place them in RPA developer or RPA support engineer. So an internship, or that it is an area where you actually learns what this RPA is, what you can automate. And from that internship, depending upon your skills and knowledge, you will be placed under RPA developer or RPA support engineer. So support engineer with a couple of experience can jump into an RPA developer. So the journey must start either as an RPA developer or an engineer. Developer then gets experience, jump into a lead developer, then to a solution architect, or he could select the business analyst role. So from lead developer, either he could go to analyst kind of a job, or he could pursue in my path where you will end up as an architect. And after that, actually, you could grow into the organization where you could become someone close to a partner of the organization. So comparing this with a typical solution software development lifecycle, to attain these roles, a person might spend up maybe 10 to 12 years till he could become a lead or a solution architect. But the thing about RPA is it's so vibrant and so easy to learn. Even somebody who has very good logics and who can write a program irrespective of the language can easily grasp what this RPA is. And this particular growth is very fast. As you already know that I am 8 years experienced, and I got my solution architect position in the 5th year of my experience, which is very fast when it compares it with this typical software solution development area. And the kind of growth and the package that you get once you transition from one role to another role is very high, very drastic. And it's what's happening there. So right now, if you are like a Java programmer, when you're attending an interview, what they will ask is like, how many experience do you have? How many projects you have done? And they will ask you to go through various levels of interviews, screen tests, actual live programming skills. You have to demonstrate everything. So only then they will actually onboard you as an experienced developer or a lead developer. But with RPA, the first and predominant question that the HR asks is how soon you can join. So if there is a candidate who can join their organization within 1 month of notice, then that candidate is the one that they will opt for. So that vibrant and that much opportunities exist in the current market. So that's what RPA is. And now the RPAs are like gaining its momentum, and right now is the right time. And with RPA, it's like every 2 years, a new technology would come. And say C, Java, and Python, they has been in the picture for decades. And because of that, people are actually well acquainted with the tool. But with RPA, every time there is a new technology coming in, it's like heroines changing in Hollywood. So you can't always fell in love with one of the heroine, because every 2 years a new heroine would come, a new star will be born. So similar to that, with RPA, you have to be a continuous learner. So that means somebody who knows the latest technology has a value. So that's what I am trying to say. People with experience and people who are starting their career, I think RPA would be one of the best way that they could land good job and good say career coming forth. Within a couple of years itself, you will be in a very good position. So that's what opportunities are there. So these are some of the topics that I wanted to cover. I don't have anything else. So that's there with the presentation. If you have any questions, I'm open right now. Any questions, guys? Any concerns? Anything that you are not clearly understanding? Because by this time, you would be able to imagine what an RPA is, how a particular use case of an RPA, as we mentioned, that Excel consolidation exercise, then certain trends. We saw each trends with certain examples, the visa processing and the notification example in the case of that Excel consolidation exercises. So if you have any question, you can post it. If not, I think, let me see, there are a couple of chats. Are these any questions? You can place your questions in the chat also if you are having some audio problem. Okay, I'm currently searching for job in ML without any much prior experience. Okay. Shall I move to RPA instead? Does it helps? So, so my background, guys, I don't know who actually asked this question. So my background is I am an MTech holder in machine learning. So natural language processing, which is a subset of machine learning, AI related. So I could start my career easily in this RPA. And what happened was that I was working towards that latest trends in RPA, because that has all these AI and ML components. So since the integrations and that intelligent aspect is now trending in RPA, people with ML background has their own, say, what I would say, positive sides when the recruiters look for RPA professionals. So that was one of the boosting aspect with my career, since I had background in ML, and I was able to make sense out of what machine learning is. So if some client comes in and asks about OCR, I could talk to them regarding various OCR technologies out there and various deep learning concepts also. So that actually helped me, and I was able to integrate with all these machine learning concepts that I have learned during my MTech days and during my earlier career into RPA. So that was a really a booster from my side, and that also helped me grow further in my organization also. So I think it's a very good time for you to move to RPA, because when you are placing yourself in RPA, you have to place yourself with a part of the organization that is actually working with the latest technologies, ML kind of integrations, etc., etc. Does that answer your question? So for an RPA engineer, the skills required is very simple. So 1 second, let me see whether I have missed any questions. Yeah. So skills required for RPA engineer is very simple. So the tool providers like UiPath, Blue Prism, Automation Anywhere, what they are asking is, if you are good with logics, then you will be good with RPA. So the bare minimum skill that you need is you should be able to actually look at a code and actually make sense out of what that code is doing, not specifically C or Python. In a programming sense, if you have a very good logic about how a program works, and that is not with those high-end object-oriented concepts. I'm not talking about inheritance or encapsulation. I'm simply talking about if you are looking at a code and you can make sense out of that is a for loop, that is a if loop, that is a decision. Those kind of bare minimal knowledge about the program, that is good enough to become an RP engineer. What is the course good then? So about the courses, like say if you are trying to get as a fresher and an intern into an organization, there always comes with scrutiny. So if assume like there you are attending an interview to an organization where you are going to directly placed into that RPA developer role or support role, you are actually saving yourself 6 or 7 months of scrutiny. And towards the end of all the courses, say if you are going to an HR and saying that you are a certified UiPath developer, that means HR will not be placing you as a fresher, but as an experienced person. So that's the difference. So with RPA certification and training program, you will get certified, and that's an assurance. So the HR guys are not doing a gambling there. So they won't do a gambling. So that is why they will be asking you to go through an internship program, because they don't know whether you knows automation or not, whether you are skilled enough. But if you are going and saying that you are a certified RPA professional, then that has a value. That helps when it comes to this vibrant environment out there. And the RPA certification program is not as simple as you could see. Somebody who can learn RPA, who can easily learn RPA, but to get certified in RPA actually needs assistance.
Hi, this is Asif. So I want to check it as this RPA can replace an analytics analyst to outcome the process what he does.
So no, not replace a human, because what RPA could do is, so thinking yourself as an analyst, maybe an associate working in an organization, looking at your day-to-day activities, there would be maybe 70% of your work that you do might be repeatable, automatable, and mundane. You might be doing that 70% of work, and 30% of work you will be doing creative work. Like you will be proposing to the business and the next 5-year plans. You will be proposing, identifying a solution to a particular problem that exists in your organization. So that 30% of the work is what you will be evaluated during your appraisal. So what does is RPA would replace that 70% of his mundane activity with robot, but it can't never replace a human. At least in the current state, it can't never replace a human. Beginning days of RPA, it used to, the rumors was like the robots could replace humans and you guys are going to lose your job. But that particular statement is losing its steam nowadays, because bot can never replace a human brain. our AI technology, OCR, etc., all these technologies are not that mature enough to actually support a robot to become an equal to human. What it could do is it could become an equal to a human to a certain percentage, but not to its entirety. Say if we are hiring a person only for data entry job, then that person is screwed because bot can do that better. If you are hiring a person to do data entry as well as certain other portions like analytics, because he might have to look into a wide spectrum of data and then may come out with a strategy that is going to allow it to actually classify that data. That strategy kind of a thing, imagination kind of a thing, that bot can never replicate. So what I'm trying to say is bot can actually perform certain steps one after the other, but robot can never mock up the creativity aspect of a person. What after diploma RPA? So RPA diploma, if I think you have gone to the UI, did I answer your question before taking up next question about robot replacing an analyst? Okay. So next question, what after diploma RPA? So in UiPath, diploma is something that being provided to audiences who has completed videos and has gone through materials in UiPath. So diploma only, so in our organization, when we get into interns, we would ask them to complete UiPath diploma. And once they are completing UiPath diploma, we will be placing them into the 6-month internship program. So that is the minimal prerequisites for an intern. So that is what diploma serves the purpose. And once diploma is done, then the next level is to do the certification, which is actually getting some hands-on. So if you are doing a diploma with some other universities or some taglines that has value, that is, you had done diploma in this particular institution, etc., etc., and the HR might have had a good experience recruiting people from that institution, then you get an upper hand. But simple diploma alone will not do the job. I am currently working as a senior Java developer with 5-year experience in an MNC. Whether my Java knowledge is useful if I change my career? Yes. So Java knowledge is useful because anyone who has knowledge in programming, they will see RPA as very easy tool to learn and very easier place to actually build a reputation. So people who are doing RPA nowadays, because RPA is the latest technology and it has gaining its boom nowadays alone. So hardcore developers are not available in organization who are RPA developers. People who are in RPA are mostly those who started their career in RPA. So someone who is very acquainted with programming and who can maybe contribute more towards the integration part of it, that is RPA plus other technologies. Maybe you might get a spotlight when you are seeing a problem and then predicting a Java program that could solve the problem very easily, then you will get an upper hand. So when I was in EY, when I started my career, there was a problem where they wanted to split a PDF document. So they used RPA to split that document, but it took like a very tedious time. There was a 600-page PDF document. They wanted to split that individually and each file to be named one after the other based on its page number. So 1.pdf, 2.pdf. They were using RPA for it. So when I came from my MTech, where I used to do programming in Python, what I did was in EY, I proposed to do that using Python. So that was a star solution there because they never thought of using Python because people inside RPA were not that acquainted with programming during that early days. So being a programmer, starting an RPA, I think that is a good kind of a bullet in your, say, arsenal. I hope that answered your question. Next is job possibilities in Kerala, companies using RPA. Okay, job possibilities. So let me talk about a story because I had one of my colleagues, maybe some person that I had actually trained and changed into an RPA developer. She was spending 3 years in our organization, and due to some health issues, she could not perform very well during her last year because she was on leave for 8 months. And when she came back, it was a review period. and she got a rating of 1.5. So 1.5 is a rating like that states, leave your job, else we will fire you. That is the statement that company makes when you are getting a rating of 1.5. So she was so scared. Then I asked her to actually go and approach other opportunities. And she was given a notice period of 1 month. And she was able to land by during her farewell. So when she was asked to leave, she was having no opportunities in her hand. But when she updated her resume saying that she is okay for immediate join within month, she landed interviews, she landed offers from companies like TCS, Wipro, etc. And the package was really humongous, close to 9 to 10, somebody like a 2.5 year experienced developer. So that's the kind of opportunities in Kerala. So Kerala opportunities, you have Trivandrum, Technopark, our organization in Kochi, and various other organizations, but predominantly towards Trivandrum and Kochi. And right now, RPA is gaining much boom because it can be done completely offline. Because of that Corona pandemic, people are hiring regardless of their local position. So I have been offered a full-time work from home opportunity in my position. So location is not at all a problem. You could work on a US based client. I have been working with MENA regions, US and UK clients by sitting at my home in Palakkad. So there are many options because there is not enough skills out there. So people who knows to do this job, the companies are very like open to bending their rules and providing options by which they could hire that individual in their organization. So if you could simply search for RPA based organization, many names, big company names would come in. So you will have EY, you will have our organization, Wipro, TCS, and many startups, many startups. Any other question, guys? I think we already had exceeded our planned training time. So if there are no more questions in next 1 minute, I think I would hand over back to the presenters. Can someone from non-IT background, can someone from non-IT background can learn RPA? Definitely. So what I would say is that one of the lady that I trained last time was had her engineering in civil. So we trained her, and we were having some developer opportunities and support engineer opportunities, but immediate joining kind of a requirement came inside support engineering job, and we actually placed her in support. So right now she is an employed person in our organization. She has I think civil or mechanical engineering, I don't know, but it's not IT. So it's not program centric. People who knows program will be able to excel in this, and people who doesn't know programming, if they are willing to put enough effort, will be able to actually land a job themselves in this area. So that's not a problem. Only thing is you should be good with logic, programming logics. So I answered this question. Can we start career in RPA without coding experience? So that is the same. So you just need to have an open mind. So if somebody asks you about a problem of how will you sort a array, then if you don't know to write a code for that, but if you are able to explain, if you are going to how to sort a particular list, if you could understand the logic behind it, then you will be able to create an RPA yourselves. So RPA not specifically means development alone, because there are certain roles in RPA which also has to do with managing business analyst role. So you can try that as well. But understanding the concept of RPA and getting certified in RPA doesn't require you to be an expert in coding. So that is the main selling point of all these UiPath, Blue Prism, and Automate. Even a business guy could learn what this tool does. So no need to worry about whether you doesn't have any coding experience. Would you please share your LinkedIn profile? I think I had already shared. I can maybe, the team could also forward my LinkedIn profile to you as well. So paid internship, yes. So usually in our organization itself, there is a paid internship kind of an opportunity, and that opportunity looks like this. So you will first have to do all these diploma courses yourself within a predefined time span. If you have already done that, and if you have a certification, well and good. And if you are like starting from ground zero, you doesn't have anything, then it is difficult to get an internship, even an internship. So if you have certain exposure to RPA, if you have certain training experience with some reputed organization, you will directly be placed into a 6-month program. In the first 3 months, they will evaluate your, they will give you some problems and try to see if what you demand is actually true or not. That is, you are demanding that you know experience, you have trained everything in this or academy, etc., etc. So they will give you some operations, and after that 3 months, either you will get converted. So that is in our organization, looking at your skill set, you will get converted. Else what we will do is that you will be enrolled into a paid internship of another 3 more months where you will get paid. And in that internship, towards the end, there will be an evaluation and you will get converted. And if you are also not performing well in that paid internship, that is your fault. So in our organization, we had never had an experience where an intern has been sent out without a job. So most of our interns get converted during the first 3 months itself. So paid internships are available all across. In our organization, it's like 3 months of first tryout, then 3 months of paid internship. Any other questions, guys?
So now, thank you, Amal. Now I hand over the session to Gobu Darshan. Gobu is the Senior Knowledge Officer of ICT Academy of Kerala. Gobu?
Yes, thank you,
Floor is
Nitish.
yours.
Thank you, Nitish. And thank you, Amal, for that wonderful presentation as well, because almost everyone got an idea of what exactly this RPA is. So myself, Gopu Darshan, is a lead knowledge officer from ICT Academy of Kerala. So I'm here to just introduce the course called RPA, that is Certified Specialist in Robotic Process Automation course that is conducted by ICT Academy of Kerala. So this is actually a long-term program, that long-term course that is for 6 months time, where that is totally the course will be having 380 hours of training. So training means the first 4 months you will be going through the learning phase of Certified Specialist in Robotic Process Automation program. Like out of 380 hours, the first 4 months, you will be going through the learning phase. That is, in ICT, we follow a blended learning technique, like you will be having some self-learning part and also instructor-led learning part as well. So the first 4 months is completely learning, that you will be given with a lot of assignments, case study, you will be having instructor-led sessions, and also self-learning part is there. So all these things comes in the first 4 months of the Certified Specialist in Robotic Process Automation training. And the next 1 month time, you will be given a project period. That is, you can work as a team, and you can work on some use cases like RPA use cases, and you had to submit that as well. And finally, the last 125 hours, that you will be having a internship at different multinational companies in a multinational company. So that is what the course structure that we have in ICT Academy of Kerala. Totally 6 months course with 385 hours of training. So out of the 385, the first 4 months you will be having the learning phase, that will be a blended learning technique, where we have a self-learning part where you have to go through the contents that we provide, and also we have the inspector-led sessions where you can interact with the instructors, and you can, if you have any kind of doubts or anything, there will be doubt clarification during that session as well. And also we have 100 hours of project where you can work as a team in and doing some industrial use cases, and you can complete, you have to submit that as a project as well. So this is the last 1 month, second last month, and the last month you will be going through the internship at a multinational company, where you will be working on that industry use cases. That is, you have to work on their problem statements and you have to find the solutions for that. So that is the proper structure of the course that we have in ICT Academy of Kerala. It is a long-term program for 6 months time. So if you have, that is what the course structure is. And if you have any queries regarding it, you can ask at the end of the session. So this is what the job that is assigned to me, like to talk about the course structure that we have in ICT Academy of Kerala. Like it's most closer to the associate program, second associate program that we have in RPA website as well. So that is what from my side is. So Srikumar sir.
Yes, Gobu, thank you.
Yes.
So I'm not taking much time. I will take a couple of minutes to brief a government support active what they're planning to extend as part of the KKM initiative. So this invitation active we are sent it to the people who already registered with the website job portal called DWMS, Digital Workforce Management System. That coming as a part of Kerala Knowledge Economy Mission, that the government is taking an initiative to provide a placement assistance to the people who are looking for a job. It is not only on IT segment, it is on all other segments, because the vision of the project is very high. The government is planning to provide employment opportunity to minimum opportunity, not employment to nearly 20 lakhs people before actually 2026. So their ICT Academy playing a role to facilitate the project on IT and ITS segment. So based on that only, we are actually doing this webinar. So it having two important parts. One part is people, if you're having a skills, then actually you need only a placement assistance. That we are actually providing through the DWMS portal. So I'm having a request, because nowadays still actually 1,000+ openings are available in the DWMS portal, and actually more than 70% of the openings is especially for the IT and IT related segments. So people who you already registered in the website. So I'm having a request, after completing the webinar, you please actually log in using your user credentials, and actually based on your skill set, you will apply for the jobs which is available in the portal, because the openings are actually kept ideal for actually more than 1 month. So the companies are patiently waiting to actually for the skilled people who are applying for the positions. So that is the first request from our side. After completing the webinar, just actually log in and please go through the company's profile based on your interest and your knowledge and your skills. You apply for it, and then it may help you to actually landing in a good job. That is a one type of support. Second type of support is, actually I'm interested in getting into the IT industry. I'm very much interested in RPA, but I'm not having the skills. Then what is my chances? There also ICT Academy actually playing a role with the support of government of Kerala, that actually the skilling part. So that's actually the Gobu Darshan is explained what type of skilling. In a very small way, he's explained actually what skilling is we are doing. So in the case, if you are not having a skill, but you would like to actually acquire the skill and get into the industry, then also the government is doing a lot of actually subsidies as a scholarship for the deserved candidates. You can apply for the scholarship examination. If you are getting a scholarship, means you can do the program without actually spending any money, because it's having up to 100% scholarship based on your performance. So scholarship examination is there. You can apply for it based on your performance. You can get a scholarship from the government, and actually you can do your skilling. After actually the skilling, you land up your with your dream job. Okay. Then some specific questions that is actually asked in the chat. Actually, you need to add. Actually, already Amal is addressed almost all the questions. I would like to add a couple of things. Then actually I will actually move into the final segment, that this specific project actually KKM is the brain of a person who may actually explain more about the project. So you will actually move to the that video clipping in the last of this session. How many companies are there in Kerala to support the RPA developer or RPA domain? Actually, how many companies are actually specially working on RPA domain? From our past experience, as of now, we are working with 30+ companies to actually supply our skilled people to work on the RPA domain. So that is the one thing I would like to add. Second thing I would like to add is regarding the active people asking, actually I'm not having a coding experience or actually a programming experience. Basically, I'm not having a skill. Then how I can able to actually take up this profile? It means the answer is you can try your skills in the scholarship examination because government is very much willing to support the peoples who having the skills who are not having the skills. So if you are not having the skills but you would like to acquire the skills, means you can try for the scholarship examination. So as I mentioned, this Kerala Knowledge Economy Mission project is a brain of Dr. K.M. Abraham sir. He is a IAS officer. So he is now serving as the executive vice chairman of KDIS. Maybe you people are aware of what is KDIS. KDIS is a Kerala Development Innovation Strategic Council that is a vehicle to do actually a lot of innovations as well as skilling inside the Kerala. And he is also part of the Kerala Knowledge Economy Mission. He is also serving as a principal secretary to Honorable Chief Minister of Kerala. So he actually talking about the project in a very brief way. So I requesting you to listen to that. It may be actually giving a overall idea about what KKM and what government of Kerala is doing to the youths of Kerala as part of the KKM project. Nidish, can you run it? Nidish?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will run.
നോളജ് എക്കോണമി മിഷൻ, അതായത് KDISനെ ഏൽപ്പിച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന ഏറ്റവും വലിയ ബൃഹത്തായ ഒരു പദ്ധതി. ആ ഒരു പദ്ധതിയുടെ ഉദ്ദേശ ലക്ഷ്യം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ യുവതലമുറ അവരെ ലക്ഷ്യം വെച്ചിട്ടുള്ളതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ കേരളം എന്നും ഒരു നെറ്റ് എക്സ്പോർട്ടർ ഓഫ് ഹ്യൂമൻ റിസോഴ്സാണ്. നമ്മൾ പുറത്തോട്ട് അയക്കുന്ന വ്യക്തികളുടെ എണ്ണം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ തൊഴിൽ തേടിപ്പോകുന്നവരുടെ എണ്ണം നമ്മൾക്കകത്ത് തൊഴിലുണ്ടാക്കുന്ന നമ്പറിനെക്കാട്ടിലും കൂടുതലാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ ഒരു കാര്യം നിലനിർത്തണം എന്നുള്ളത് വളരെ പ്രധാനമായിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യമാണ്. വി ഹാവ് ടു കണ്ടിന്യൂ ടു ബി ദ ബെസ്റ്റ് ഇൻ ഹ്യൂമൻ റിസോഴ്സസ്. അതാണ് നമ്മുടെ ഒരു ലക്ഷ്യം. അപ്പോൾ ഈ ഹ്യൂമൻ റിസോഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് സർക്കാരിൽ ഒരാണ്ടിൽ 20,000 മുതൽ 30,000 പുതിയ ജോലികൾ വരും. സർക്കാർ ഈ പബ്ലിക് സെക്ടർ കമ്പനിയും കൂടെ എടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഒരു 2,000 3,000 വരും. അതിനകത്ത് ഇത് വരുന്നത് പുതിയതല്ലെന്ന് ഓർക്കണം, ഈ റിട്ടയർമെൻറ്റ് വേക്കൻസികൾ നിറയ്ക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ബാക്കിയുള്ള ജോലികൾ ഇവിടെ ഉണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളൊരു കോൺഫിഡൻസ് നമ്മുടെ യുവതലമുറയ്ക്ക് കൊടുക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാമിൻ്റെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയൊരു ലക്ഷ്യം. അപ്പോൾ ഇപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ഈ ഒരു പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോമിൻ്റെ വ്യത്യാസം കൃത്യമായിട്ട് ഞാൻ പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ, അതൊരു എംപ്ലോയ്മെൻറ്റ് എക്സ്ചേഞ്ച് അല്ല, അതൊരു സ്കില്ലിംഗ് പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോം അല്ല, അതൊരു മിയർ ഗവൺമെൻറ് പ്രോഗ്രാമിൻ്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ട് ഒരു അവസരം കൊടുക്കുന്നത് മാത്രമല്ല, ഇതൊരു വളരെ കോംപ്ലക്സ് എക്കോസിസ്റ്റം നമ്മൾ ഇതിൽ കൂടുതൽ വാർത്തെടുക്കുകയാണ്. ഒരു സൈഡിൽ ഒരു എംപ്ലോയ്മെൻറ്റ് മാർക്കറ്റ് പ്ലേസ് ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്യും. അവിടെ നമ്മൾ എംപ്ലോയേഴ്സിനെയും നമ്മുടെ കുട്ടികളെയും നമ്മുടെ എംപ്ലോയീസിനെയും കൂടെ ഒരുമിച്ച് കൊണ്ടുവന്ന് മാച്ച് ചെയ്യാൻ നോക്കുന്ന ഒരു വലിയ സംരംഭം. രണ്ടാമത്തതിൽ ഈ ഗ്യാപ്പ് എന്തുവാണ് നമ്മൾ കണ്ടുപിടിക്കുന്നത്. വേറെ ആരും അങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യാറില്ല. ഈ ഗ്യാപ്പ് കണ്ടുപിടിച്ചിട്ട് ഈ ഗ്യാപ്പ് നികത്തുവാനായിട്ട് നമ്മുടെ കുട്ടികൾക്ക് അവസരം കൊടുക്കുന്നു. ഉദാഹരണം, ഒരു ജാവ പ്രോഗ്രാമിങ്ങിന് പോയി, പക്ഷേ എംപ്ലോയർ പറയുന്നു ശരിയല്ല, ഞങ്ങൾ ഇയാളുടെ CV പരിശോധിച്ചു, ഇയാളുമായിട്ട് ഇൻ്റർവ്യൂ നടത്തി, പക്ഷേ ഈ വ്യക്തിയിൽ സബ്ജക്റ്റ് നോളജ് പോരാ. അപ്പം നമ്മളെന്ത് ചോദിക്കുന്നു, ജാവ പ്രോഗ്രാമിങ്ങിൻ്റെ ഒരു കോഴ്സിൽ നിങ്ങൾ വരാൻ തയ്യാറാണോ എന്ന് നമ്മൾ ചോദിക്കുകയും ആ കോഴ്സിന് പഠിപ്പിക്കാനായിട്ടുള്ള അവസരം നമ്മൾ ഒരുക്കി കൊടുക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഈ മുമ്പോട്ട് ഈ ഒരു ജോബ് മാച്ചിങ് എംപ്ലോയിയെയും കൊണ്ടുവരുമ്പം ഇതിനോടൊപ്പം തന്നെ സ്കിൽ ഡെഫിഷ്യൻസി കാലിബ്രേറ്റ് ചെയ്ത് അത് നികത്തി കൊടുക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. ഇനി ഇവർ എംപ്ലോയ്മെൻറ്റിന് പോയി എന്നിരിക്കട്ടെ, നമ്മൾ എംപ്ലോയറിനോട് പറയുന്നത് നിങ്ങൾ റിസ്ക് എടുക്കണ്ട, നിങ്ങൾ ധൈര്യമായിട്ട് മുന്നോട്ട് വരും. നിങ്ങളൊരു കാൻഡിഡേറ്റിൻ്റെ ഡെഫിഷ്യൻസി ജോലി സ്ഥലത്ത് വെച്ച് കണ്ടു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഞങ്ങളോട് പറഞ്ഞാൽ മതി, ഞങ്ങൾ ഈ വ്യക്തിയെ തിരിച്ചെടുത്ത് ഇവർക്ക് സോഷ്യൽ സേഫ്റ്റി നെറ്റിൽ കൂടെ നമ്മളൊരു സപ്പോർട്ട് സിസ്റ്റം കൊടുക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ സപ്പോർട്ട് സിസ്റ്റം എന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇപ്പോൾ 6 മാസം അടുത്ത കോഴ്സ് തീർക്കാൻ 6 മാസം എടുക്കുക, കാലതാമസം ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ആ 6 മാസം ട്രെയിൻ ചെയ്യണം, 6 മാസം ട്രെയിൻ ചെയ്യണം. 6 മാസം ട്രെയിൻ ചെയ്യുമ്പം ഈ വ്യക്തിക്ക് ചിലവ് കഴിയണമല്ലോ, അതിനൊരു സോഷ്യൽ സേഫ്റ്റി നെറ്റും കൂടെ ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഒരു മൾട്ടി ലെയർഡാണ്. ഒരു സൈഡിൽ വളരെ വലിയൊരു മാച്ചിങ് പ്രോഗ്രാം നടന്നുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നു, വേറൊരു സൈഡിൽ ഈക്വലൻ്റായിട്ട് ഒരു സ്കിൽ പ്രൊവിഷൻ പ്രോഗ്രാം നടന്നു. ഓരോന്നിനും അതിൻ്റേതായിട്ടുള്ള വ്യത്യസ്തമായിട്ടുള്ള ഇതുണ്ട്, ഫീച്ചേഴ്സുണ്ട്. ഉദാഹരണം പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഈ മാച്ചിങ് ലെവൽ തന്നെ എടുക്കുക. വെറുതെ നമ്മൾ എംപ്ലോയേഴ്സ് ഫാക്ടറീസ് രജിസ്റ്റർ ചെയ്യുക, മാച്ച് ചെയ്യുക അല്ല. ഇത് നമ്മൾ ഇൻ്റർനാഷണലായിട്ടുള്ള അഗ്രിഗേറ്റേഴ്സുമായിട്ടും ബന്ധപ്പെടും, മനസ്സിലായില്ലേ, ഒരു തട്ടിൽ. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മുടെ ലോക്കൽ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രിയുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെടും. അപ്പം എനിക്ക് വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളോട്, യുവതലമുറയോട് പറയാനായിട്ടുള്ളൊരു ആഹ്വാനം എന്ന് വേണേൽ അതിനെ വിശേഷിപ്പിക്കാം. ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാമിൽ വന്ന് ഇതിൻ്റെ അവസരങ്ങൾ ഉപയോഗിക്കാം. ഈ പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോമിലേക്ക് ഈ വിദ്യാർത്ഥിനി സുഹൃത്തുക്കളും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ യുവതലമുറയും കൂടെ വന്ന് തൊഴിൽ അന്വേഷിക്കുന്നവർ അതിനകത്ത് ജോയിൻ ചെയ്യുമ്പം അവർക്ക് ഒരു ക്ഷമയോടുകൂടി ഈ ഒരു സ്കിൽ പ്രോഗ്രാമിൻ്റെ ബെനിഫിറ്റ്സ് അത് സ്വീകരിക്കാനായിട്ട് വരണം. നമ്മുടെ പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോമിൽ വരുന്ന എംപ്ലോയേഴ്സ് അവർക്കറിയാമല്ലോ, അവർ എക്സ്പോസ്ഡ് ആണെന്ന് അറിയാമല്ലോ, അവർ ഇത്രയും കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഓഫർ ചെയ്യുന്നു. ഈ ഓഫർ അനുസരിച്ച് ഒരു പബ്ലിക് പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോം, സർക്കാർ ഓടിക്കുന്ന ഒരു പബ്ലിക് പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോമിൽ അവർ വന്ന് രജിസ്റ്റർ ചെയ്യുന്നു. അവർക്ക് ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ജോലി ഉണ്ടെന്ന് പറയുന്നു. അവർ ഈ ജോലിയിൽ മിനിമം ഇത്രയും കാര്യങ്ങൾ കൊടുക്കുമെന്ന് അവർ ആദ്യം തന്നെ പറയുന്നു. ഇൻ്റർവ്യൂവിന് നമ്മുടെ കുട്ടികൾ പോകുന്നു, അവർക്ക് സെലക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നു. അപ്പം ഒരു ശകലം ഒരു പേരൻറ്റിങ്ങും കൂടെ ഈ പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോമിൻ്റെ ഒരു ഫംഗ്ഷനാണ്.
Thank you. Thank you, Nitish. So this is an opportunity as coming from the government side. So always actually the government non-profit organization like ICT Academy always provide an opportunity for you. We can't be able to push anybody and actually make you to use of it. It is up to you to use the opportunity in a wise manner, because we couldn't able to expect all the opportunities come every time to our doorsteps. Whenever there is any opportunity comes, if you are actually using it in a wise manner, then it will automatically change the life of the specific person. So we are actually here to helping you out. So people who actually would really would like to use this opportunity and start their career in the IT industry or upskilling actually their skills and would like to change their career to one domain to other domain, we are here to actually support you with the backup of the government. As I mentioned, ICT Academy of Kerala is a nodal officer to do this initiative in the IT and ITS sector, and also we are actually a nodal agency for all the IT parts to fulfill their actually manpower requirements. In the both the way, actually we can able to connect you. We can able to connect you in the industry and help you out to get a job or actually start a career. Or if you are not skilled, means also we can able to put you in a channel to skill you and actually provide the opportunity to start your career. So this is the way ICT Academy is working, and ICT Academy is a government and actually the corporate sponsored entity, that is a public-private partnership model. This is the second successful public-private partnership model in Kerala after the Cochin International Airport. So the opportunities are actually now placed in front of you. People who are interested and who would like to start or actually start their career or take the challenges, you can take it from here itself. One more last announcement, and then actually we will move to the final Q&A session. If you have any other Q&A questions, we will address it. As this session is just an awareness session, people who got a awareness would like to get to little bit a deeper knowledge on the RPA, we are actually organizing a one day actually a virtual workshop on next week. You can join and actually learn how to do a bot in a day or something like that. It will give a little bit a deeper level technology transferring session that is going to happen on next week. So that is also free as part of coming from the Kerala Knowledge Economy Mission project. It also having a certification also. If you're actually completing that boot camp and submitting the final results means you will get actually a 6 hours of boot camp participation certification also from ICT Academy of Kerala. That communication may be reach your inbox in a couple of days. You can check your inbox frequently for more updates from our side. That is from our side. If you're having any final queries, we will address it. Otherwise, we will wind up the call. So we will wait for 2 more minutes. If you're having any queries, we will address it.
Hi, sir, this is Bijish.
Yeah, Bijesh.
Sir, is there any course they plan to conduct for working professionals in weekend or something?
Bijesh, most of our programs focusing on the working professions only. So it will happen on evening hours or morning hours. It's not actually weekends, because weekends we are having a boot camp. So you having a live sessions on weekdays on evening hours between 6 to 8, and actually weekends is dedicatedly fixed for a blended boot camp. It may be a physical or actually a virtual. People who couldn't able to come physically, they can actually join virtually. People who can come physically can come and attend the boot camps in our offices across Kerala, in Trivandrum, Technopark, in UL Cyber Park, as well as the Quality Info Park. So it will happen on 6 to 8 time slot.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Second is our delivery is having a blended mode of delivery. It having a live sessions as well as actually a self-learning learning content also available. Self-learning content, you can learn it at any time based on your convenience, because as mentioned, it's focusing on working professions also. So that may be giving a flexibility on the time concern. You need not to at least provide a dedicated time frame, specific time for this program. You can do it based on your convenient time. Only the live sessions only you need to be make your calendar available, and you need to attend on live. Any other queries? You can use the chat or unmute and ask. And it is as there is no further queries, we will move to the winding up part of this session. Yeah, over to you, Dinesh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. And my job is vote of thanks. So good afternoon, all. So on behalf of ICT Academy of Kerala, yes, so there is one query, time schedule for weekend training. So there is one query in the chat. Yes, actually.
Yes, it is, as I mentioned, it is a weekday evening hours. Actually, it is not weekend schedule. So weekdays evening, you have 2 live sessions maximum, and actually alternate weekends. Saturdays, you have a blended boot camp. In the case of boot camp, means it may be a 4 to 6 hour session. Otherwise, the live sessions, as I mentioned, in weekdays, you need to spend only 2 days. Maybe it is a duration of 2 hours.
Yes, I hope there are no more queries.
If you have any queries, you can just write to us or actually connect back to us. We are actually always available to actually support you or clarify your queries. That is not issue. This is a platform. Just you need to connect and interact and clarify. If we are also available on the offline mode also, so you can mail us, or actually almost everybody having our help desk number also. If you're connecting also, you will your queries will get answered. Sorry, Nitish. What?
Yeah, thank you. So thank you everyone. So on behalf of ICT Academy of Kerala and Kerala Knowledge Economic Mission, I'm very glad to be here to express my vote of thanks. A special thanks to the chief guest, Mr. Amal Babu, for accepting our invitation and for being here today. Thank you, Amal. Your thoughts about RPA and the insights about automation and in the industrial chances of getting the jobs in RPA made the candidates a great boom. Thank you, Amal, and also special thanks for spending the Q&A. A special thanks to Mr. Gobu Darshan, the Senior Knowledge Officer of ICT Academy, for the immense support to make the webinar a grand success. Thank you, Gobu. And I must thank my senior sir, Mr. Sri Kumar, the head of Retail Operational Unit, ICT Academy of Kerala, to organize a webinar through online. I must thank my organizing committee, my colleagues, Ms. Nitya, Ms. Aishwarya, Mrs. Ashwati, Ms. Kripson, and the IT team, Mr. Nitin PS, for working hard for the past few days to make the webinar a grand success. So thank you everyone, each and everyone. So if you have any doubts regarding the RPA course, you can mail us. And Karthik, can you put the inquiry number also, so that I will receive your calls. So if you have any doubts regarding the course is open for, and a huge number of opportunities are awaiting for you. Thank you all. So thank you very much. Karthika, can you put that number? Yes, this is the number. Please note the number and the mail ID. So please feel free to contact at any time. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, team.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Bye.